but you've got to grow. Some of what you learned isn't true, and that's one of them. You look at the mucoid plaque, and I'll tell you one of them. You're probably not going to like me, but Dr. Jensen was my personal friend. And I have his colonoscopy and endoscopy before I started him on our herbs and raw foods. He was not a vitalist. He did not do all raw foods any stretch of the way. I spent a lot of years with him. I could tell you his diet. And so he actually had a black colon, and he wrote the book on colon health and created the Kalima board. That's a nice board. You can use greens. You know, I'd implant with greens, not just wheatgrass. You know, I like alfalfa, again, better than wheatgrass, blah, 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 blah. But, you know, you use herbs, and the magic of those herbs will clean, strengthen, restore the bowel. Remember, interstitially, remember, in the wall is where 80% of the problems are, is in the wall. So you can't get in the wall with the water. The water doesn't have any power to it. You need to get some herbs, but you got to get that lymph moving through the kidneys. You got to get in that wall. This is why you'll see more aggressive clays like bentonite and charcoal. I've got one called the GI broom, and it sucks that wall, pulls on that wall. And this is true with those that have orange around your pupil. That's sulfur from the use of antibiotics. That's hard to get out. And I have a medical doctor friend that has it all in him, and when he realized he can't use sulfur drugs, he's full of sulfur, he can't find an antidote to it. Well, the antidote is to detox and pull, and so he's been working on it for a few years now. I think I've mentioned this before. I don't think much of Dr. Jensen's daughter-in-law. No offense, honey, but German iridology is not where it's at, and if you can't get the eyes to change, you're not a good detoxifier. If your eyes do not change when you're detoxifying, then you're not getting in and moving that lymph like you think you are. Because I have nothing but changed eyes here, and Dr. Jensen had nothing but changed eyes, and we talked a great deal about that. He never cared for German iridology, and neither do I. It's okay, but he took it a step further, and we must honor that. But she's not honoring his name. I've heard comments that he didn't have it right and things like this. Let me tell you, Dr. Jensen was good at what he did, but his diet was lousy, and he looked it. And you made a comment, sweetheart, about he cured his prostate cancer with digestive enzymes. He never cured his prostate cancer. I couldn't even get it out of him. He had PSAs of 1,600. Anybody that knows about PSAs, that's your prostate. 0 to 3 was the old. They went to 0 to 4. They should have went to 0 to 2. I've had 40-year-old men in here with PSAs of 2 prostate cancer. I had a guy in yesterday, PSAs of 45. Well, 45, he's in trouble, you know. So, real serious stuff. I have a Yo Smucker's jelly guy. I mean, I've seen PSAs of 2,900. Incredible. When you have high PSAs, it starts chewing you up all over. So, digestive enzymes definitely can make you feel better in the long run using them. You'll lose your pancreas. And people tell me, well, once you lose your digestive enzymes, that's it. Not so. I think I've mentioned this on other videos. I've had pancreatic cancer in here so bad that there was no digestive left from that pancreas, and I totally restored the pancreas and digestion without any use of digestive enzymes. I think you have to be real careful with these because the pancreas is an endocrine gland, and I've seen people on digestive enzymes a year later stop them, and they can't digest anything anymore. And that's serious problems. So what feels good in the moment can create a longer term problem. I think you're doing a great job, and you do what you want with that. But Dr. Jensen's iridology work is yet to be beat. I had a clinic in Lisbon, Portugal for a while, and I took him over there one time with me, and I was amazed at how the Portuguese loved him as opposed to German iridology because it's right there. So I really like Dr. Jensen's work, and instead of Ellen, I mean, Ellen, you need to give your love and respect to the guy that handed you his stuff. Okay, that would be real important there. You can't even get his books anymore. You can't get his charts anymore, and I think that's low. That's real low. You can't do that. We turned it down. That's why you have it. But I did turn it down. It was offered to us, We got our own gig here. And I love iridology. For those of you who learn iridology, it's fun, it's simple, it's easy, and you can really make a big difference. And you can see your genetic lesions sewing up. I've done this for 40 years, and it's amazing. I used iridology to teach people years ago because people didn't come to me. I'd go out and lecture and use the camera and sell eye pictures for business. I had to do that. So keep going, colon therapists. Pick up some herbal, like our bowel formulas, and use those because you're going to find it breaking off the plaque. It's going to remove the inflammation, but it'll get in the small bowel too. And most of your absorption of nutrients is actually in the small bowel. Colon, you get traces and microtrace absorption, but truly the small bowel is the real key here. And it's interstitial is the key too. And how do you reach in there? It's like water. You can drink as much water as you want. I'm in favor of implants of greens and stuff. We have serious cases that have feeding tubes, and sometimes we implant, but not very often. Good herbal formulas. That's why I'm in love with them. They will really help restore that bowel, clean that bowel. And remember, the autonomic nervous system controls peristalsis, so you got to get the adrenals up. You got to reach into the lymph system in the wall. So that's where all the Crohn's and IBS and all the polyps come from, and the cancers. You can burn the wall, but ultimately, in the wall out is really the big issue there. So keep going with that. Keep going with iridology, sweetheart. You're doing good there with the colonics and all that. Just a little caution with the digestive enzymes. Seen some real negative things in the future. He had a medical doctor make his digestive enzymes, and he could pour it in some oatmeal, and it become liquid within just less than a minute. Well, he begged me to try him, and I put him off. Finally, I tried him, and I was on the pot for hours. I had severe cramping. I don't go that route. I like normal digestion. I know Richard Schultz thinks your stool should look like liquid peanut butter or something. No, you don't want to push your foods through too fast. You really want normal digestion of your foods. You want normal absorption. But to get absorption, you've got to clean that lymph system. That lymph system interstitially is 75% of those fluids. And when iridology is great to see malabsorption and that interstitial, that bowel ring, which Dr. Jensen called the autonomic nerve ring, that's actually the bowel wall. And when you see a white ring around that bowel wall, around the pupil, that's interstitial lymphatic constipation. That's my new word for the day. I coined that word, and that really describes it all. Interstitial means the fluids around a cell. Lymphatic is the lymph system. Constipation means ain't going nowhere fast. So really important there. So yeah, you can use some, but really use the bowel formulas. You'll do better with them, I'm here to tell you. MS, he's asking about fasting this. You do this until you're done. I don't care if it takes you 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, or 5 years. There's no other remedy out there but to regenerate tissue and to remember your cells genetically. There's no other focus. So really tear into it. Keep going, keep going. With the MSs and stuff, you really need all fruit. I mean, I think I told you that case of a young lady, 43-year-old, with advanced MS, and they brought her in an ambulance on a stretcher. Now, she couldn't move at all, and so I put her all on fruit. And in 2 months, she could wheel herself, she could feed herself, and she could have activity. Now, I put her on a salad and a green drink just to try to build muscles, and she couldn't move anymore. She went back to not being able to move anymore. The difference when you subtract, and I went this over in another video, the digestive power and energy needed to break down that high cellulose in vegetables. You take that out from its 9,000 angstroms of energy that a vegetable average has,